No way he remembered. Oh, god damn it, Dad. Oh. It smells like troll blood.
God of War changes a man. From the moment the player grasps the controller, they are transformed, both figuratively, becoming the God of War Kratos, but also quite literally, as in, I literally can't get this paint off. It's a mosaic, a piece of art inspired by the industry's best. God of War contains the deep, rewarding lore of a Souls game, the immersive motion capture of a Naughty Dog title, the moving score of an Elder Scrolls game, and the fantastic facial hair of Mario that got me feeling all grown up.
Get in the boat, boy.
Dad, I'm a man now.
Individually, all these elements of game design are important and can be a defining aspect of a player's experience. The Last of Us wouldn't have the same emotional impact if Ellie was made by EA. Becoming Dovahkiin would feel less epic when achieved to the iCarly OST. But what would happen if you took all these fantastic elements, pieced them together, and shipped it to gamers?
It's a paint can.
It's been 3 long years since God of War's release, yet its influence and appeal still remain paramount. It's a defining game of this generation and undoubtedly one of the greatest games of all time. The PS4 will forever be known as God of War console, and although my Ragnarok withdrawal symptoms have only gotten more severe, I can always stave off the sickness with a hit of that dank Midgard snow.
I've got a problem.
Critics and fans don't always agree. If anything, they rarely do. Warcraft Reforged, Madden 20, Modern Warfare. Like, I don't think Madden has a little something for everyone. Okay, maybe it does, but God of War? God of War brings people together. Men, women, Greeks, Finns, PS5 owners, and filthy casuals.
Poor people. Oh.
But none of this matters if you can't create emotional tension and real stakes with characters the player actually cares about. That ass looks fantastic, but who is the man inside the helmet? Hopefully he can remember. You could have a score that makes Lord of the Rings sound like Nickelback, but if I don't care about the story and the characters entangled in its web, then what's the point?
That sweet high?
Rhetorical question, and this is the most important tile in the God of War mosaic. Its ability to develop character and maintain these gods' relatability by showing their emotional humanity, juxtaposing the magical with the mundane, the fantastical with the familiar.
Subway, anyone?
You have totally absurd things like giant snakes with beards, inter-realm travel, ogres that look like gorillas, and heads that talk. What?
Quiet head.
Sorry, Daddy.
But for all its grandeur, mythological scope, and magical experiences, the main plot of God of War is actually quite simple. A father and son, Kratos and Atreus, must climb a mountain to spread the ashes of their beloved spouse and mother, Faye, her final wishes. And I know what you're thinking. Hiking is just walking with extra steps. How hard can it be?
Oh, fuck, wrong mountain.
Pretty hard, yet the backdrop of Norse mythology and the stage of Midgard elevate this very simple goal, get some exercise, to new heights as the team at Santa Monica Studio and lead director Cory Barlog contort Norse mythology to serve their narrative purposes, with all its uniquely odd stories and brutal characters. Like, Loki has sex with a horse, Odin's got a weird raven fetish, and the Aesir gods, like Thor, make Zeus look like Jesus by comparison, and Jesus is responsible for the Catholic Church.
Oh.
Norse myth lends Kratos and Atreus the perfect stage to play out their drama, which is spoken in the universal language of the parent-child relationship and the dynamic tension of the father-son hierarchy.
I am your father, and you, boy, are not yourself.
Yeah, That's the point, Dad. God, I hate this family.
Character development is God of War's greatest strength. Each actor feels uniquely human despite their clear lack of humanity. The mother bear Freya, the tortured immortal Baldur, that deer, the pig, Dopey Sneezy, that other pig. They each serve an important gameplay and narrative function. Like Brock will upgrade your axe while simultaneously acting as a cautionary tale of broken families, constantly bickering about his brother's poor craftsmanship, and I get why.
I said trident-like.
But the character development goes far deeper than just function. I'm also emotionally invested in their side stories. I care about their dramas and their mistakes. Like, I'm excited to see how the deer story arc will conclude.
I don't want to play anymore.
And these characters feel so relatable because you can feel the writer's hearts and souls in the script. Cory Barlog clearly hates his parents, and I see a part of myself in each and every one of these players. Like, I hate my brother, I think I'm immortal, and I sneeze all the time, probably all that Midgard snow. And in some ways, they each remind me of the primordial, oftentimes contradictory forces within myself, pushing and pulling me to do this, say that, eat this, don't smell that. But nested inside the changing seasons of Midgard, at the center of this tangled web with all its uniquely motivated players, is the psychological labyrinth of our bearded, bald, tattooed protagonist, Kratos, the God of War.
Spoilers?
My bad, but the Kratos of the original trilogy and the Kratos of God of War are two very different beings, and for this Kratos to continue to be compelling, this Kratos had to die and be reborn as a new God of War.
What the fuck? Why isn't it coming back?
When we first meet Kratos in God of War, not only are we shocked by the impressive graphical improvements, but also the physical changes as well. Kratos is older, weathered, and a distinct sadness lingers in those still eyes. We immediately know this isn't the same Kratos we left in Greece. And that's probably a good thing. This change can symbolically be seen through Kratos' weapon choice, leaving behind the wild, destructive blades of chaos for the more refined, cold, and controllable Leviathan axe that after 2 days, I still can't figure out.
God damn it. Why aren't the runes working?
In the original God of War trilogy, Kratos is tortured by his past, killing his family, forsaking his daughter, breaking that pot. And rather than facing his mistakes, he seeks to forget the past through the powers of Olympus. But this only exposes Kratos to further manipulation. In being denied the Men in Black treatment by Athena, Kratos is forced to perpetually run from his past, becoming the specter of revenge because he's got nothing left to lose. Just wildly flail those blades of chaos around, destroying everything and everyone in your path. Who cares? The pot's already broken.
Damn it, Kratos.
Kratos kills the entire pantheon of Greek mythology and then seeks redemption in death. But even self-sacrifice for mankind can be a subtle form of escape. By dying, Kratos can finally numb the pain of the past, but although he finds some redemption, he never really faces his demons, but rather creates another gap between himself and his mistakes through constant murder, solving puzzles, and yelling Zeus. It's like cleaning your room, but instead of actually cleaning, you just sweep those Doritos, Subway, and neuroses under your bed. It looks great, but in about 2 months, months.
Ugh, smells like troll dick.
Kratos' narrative responsibilities are now only to himself, his hit list, and maintaining that godly physique. You gotta sell copies, and you can't have a red tattoo on your face and a dad bod. That's like God's first commandment. But this past-oriented emotional motivation lowers the figurative and literal stakes because, well, now you only need to buy one steak, but this is less dynamic storytelling because all of Kratos' pain is often reduced to expository flashbacks used to fill in the gaps between gameplay, which is fine. Not every video game needs to be a session of therapy, and killing my dad is an Oedipal dream come true, but the emotions behind the violent decision-making lack a degree of gravity because, well, Kratos can ultimately just ignore them feelings, shift responsibility, and refocus his energy on those who wronged him, which is mostly just himself. And so to remedy this emotionally static protagonist, the new God of War introduces a brand new dynamic for Kratos to grapple with, and it's not celibacy, it's Atreus. Atreus creates a new set of rules for Kratos. He is the ultimate challenge and obstacle for his father, as Kratos can't punch this issue into submission. That's illegal. Atreus is the Joker to Kratos' Batman. There is nothing for Kratos to do with all his strength. Kratos can no longer run through violence because Atreus will literally follow him everywhere. Now Kratos must adapt in the moment to Atreus' boneheaded decisions, questions, and behaviors. Parenting is a full-time job, like stab that deer boy, kill that pig boy. Wait, what are you doing, boy?
Traitor. You are a traitor.
But Atreus' function pushes deeper, as Kratos must shed an old role, psychopath, and adopt an entirely new persona. Father, educator, target practice, teaching Atreus how to be a god, taking life as you will, and closing your heart to everything and everyone, which is terrible advice. But the tension pulses both ways, as Atreus oddly enough teaches Kratos how to be human, showing compassion, buffoonery, and emotional honesty. He forces Kratos to dig deep into the depths of himself, exploring the Minos' labyrinth of his mind, filled with all sorts of goodies, like there's Kratos' rage, there's his apathy, and oh look, there's his Oedipal complex. Kratos is probably going to be in therapy till like Ragnarok.
And how does that make you feel? Like killing everyone?
Like yin and yang, Atreus and Kratos each balance the other while simultaneously leaving their mark.
Boy!
And yet Atreus, although different, still inherited many of Kratos' sins, his rage and destructive nature. Atreus acts as the ultimate mirror for Kratos, showing Kratos that which he has repressed within himself. The moments Kratos is most upset with Atreus is when he loses composure to anger. Sound familiar?
My other eye!
A wise man once said, the traits that bother us most in others is that which we secretly hate about ourselves. It was Santa Claus, and to amplify this dynamic, the team at Santa Monica Studio made the incredibly bold and expensive decision to create the entire game through a single continuous camera shot. We just creepily follow Kratos around for his entire journey, everything, and I mean literally everything.
What the fuck?
But this isn't just some gimmick for the sake of itself or for the E3 stage. No, this serves an important narrative function. It puts us up close and personal with Kratos. There is nowhere for him to run anymore. We see it all. Like, I'm concerned about his Chipotle addiction. This is 4 times in one day.
Get out of here!
It's an unflinching look at the reality of a true father-son relationship. The good, the bad, the godly, the ungodly, unfiltered, raw. This ain't that shit you put on Instagram.
Hey boy, come get my story.
And contrast that with the wide shots from God of War 3, designed to show the scope, the epicness of ancient Greece. We witness the violence from afar like a god spectating the battlefield, but in God of War, the camera lingers, relishing in the the emotion while juxtaposing it with the visceral, brutal nature of violence. You'll split an ogre's skull, you'll rip a draugr in half, you'll commit troll genocide. Just watch out for all that troll blood.
That makes sense.
But ultimately, Kratos' work is no longer on the physical plane, but rather the emotional. He may be a warrior at heart, but the nature of his emotional decision-making must change for the story and our hero to progress. Kratos must accept who he really is, and it ain't Santa Claus.
You will always be a monster.
I know.
Life is all about change and our ability to adapt and respond to the situations and roles that life inexplicably throws at us. I may not want to wear that outfit or get exercise, but the director of the play of life has spoken, and the question inevitably is, are we going to play our role willingly or fight the tides of change beyond our control?
Damn it.
We can be reactive, being pushed and pulled unwillingly, or we can be responsible, able to respond, and this is Kratos' greatest realization: acceptance.
I know. But I am your monster no longer.
He accepts he is a monster, but now he is his own monster, not Ares' monster, not Athena's monster, his monster. He takes control of his rage by paradoxically letting go and accepting it as part of himself.
I love you.
Cory Barlog and the team at Santa Monica Studio made many bold decisions in changing not only the core gameplay of God of War, but the nature of Kratos himself. And although in hindsight creating Atreus seems obvious, the initial decision was met with some significant resistance, both from fans and fellow developers, and it makes sense. The original trilogy was a formula that worked, and people loved it. The anti-hero Kratos bathing in the blood of his enemies. What's not to love?
Smells like dead relatives.
But thank the God of War that Cory Barlog and his team had the courage to create the story in their hearts despite the numerous obstacles along the journey. Because it's not about getting to the wrong mountaintop, it's about the journey. And for Kratos to continue to live in our hearts, he had to fundamentally die and be reborn as a god that's aware of his humanity.
Dad, did you clog the toilet again?
The Ragnarok withdrawal symptoms are back. If you want to save me, like and comment. And thanks to the patrons so I can buy more Midgard snow.